Can greatness defy time? What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Knuckle Game Podcast, where we don't chase headlines, we chase understanding. I'm El Benga, and today we're breaking down one of the most fascinating fights this year. Former UFC middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis, former UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman. We'll talk about why this fight matters, whether Usman can still dominate elite fighters moving up to middleweight, and whether Dricus learned anything from losing his championship, and whether greatness can overcome time. This episode is brought to you by Juggernaut Snacks Knuckle Sandwich, the premium fight-inspired snack built for fans who appreciate bold flavor and championship quality. Now let's get into it. Why this fight matters. Du Plessis versus Usman. This fight is bigger than rankings. It's bigger than records. And honestly, it's bigger than one win or one loss. Both of these men are fighting for something completely different. For Dricus, this is about proving he still belongs at the very top of the middleweight division. Champions lose. It happens. But the great ones respond. The question isn't whether Dricus can beat Kamaru Usman. The question is, can he remind everyone why he became champion in the first place? Then there's Kamaru Usman, one of the greatest welterweights of the UFC, one of the greatest that the UFC has ever seen, a dominant champion, elite wrestler, elite competitor. Now he's asking himself one question. Do I still have one more championship run left? That's what makes this fight compelling. One man is trying to get back, and the other man is trying to prove he never left. Can Usman's style still win at 185? Here's where this fight gets interesting. Everybody knows Kamaru Usman's wrestling. Everybody knows his cardio. Everybody knows how frustrating he can make a fight. But this isn't welterweight anymore. These are naturally bigger athletes, stronger athletes. Men who walk into the octagon carrying more size and more power. So here's the question. Can the style that dominated 170 dominate middleweight? Because wrestling isn't just about technique. It's also about strength, leverage, weight, and making another elite fighter carry you for 25 minutes. If Usman can consistently push Dricus to the fence, force clinches, mix in his jab with level changes, he can slow down this fight. But if Dricus keeps the fight in the open, oh, baby, it's a different story then. And if he keeps changing angles and keeps forcing Usman to reset, that wrestling becomes a lot harder to establish. This isn't just a wrestling test. It's a middleweight wrestling test. And there's a difference. Now, what did the Khamzat loss really tell us about Dricus? You know what I've heard ever since Dricus lost his championship? I've heard people say he's got exposed, he's been exposed. I don't completely agree. Did Khamzat have success? Absolutely. Did he show that Dricus can be controlled by one of the best grapplers in MMA? Yes. But here's what people forget. There's only one Khamzat Chimaev. The blueprint only works if you have the tools to execute. Kamaru Usman is an outstanding wrestler, one of the best we've ever seen, but he doesn't fight exactly like Khamzat. A different pace, different pressure, different timing, different risk. So I don't think the question should be, can Usman could he copy Khamzat? I think the question is, can Usman impose his own style before Dricus imposes his? I think that's a much more interesting conversation. Now, where this fight will be won, I actually think this fight comes down to one area: control. Not damage, not knockdowns, control. Whoever controls where the fight takes place. If Usman spends the night pushing Dricus into the fence, making him defend takedowns, making him work every second, that's Usman's fight. But if Dricus keeps creating chaos and forcing exchanges in the middle, landing combinations, making Usman react instead of dictate, oh, now the fight starts to lean towards Dricus. People always talk about power and always talk about speed. Sometimes fighters who control the geography of the octagon control the fight. Watch the center of the cage. That's where the fight might actually be decided. So what's at stake? For Dricus, a win puts him right back into championship discussion. Nobody remembers how you lost. They remember how you respond. Beat Usman, you're suddenly one big fight away from another shot at UFC gold. For Usman, the stakes might be even bigger because beating a former middleweight champion changes the conversation completely. No one will call him a former welterweight trying something new. They'll start talking about title opportunities, his legacy, and maybe even becoming a two-division champion. That's why this fight feels so important. It's not just about Saturday night. It's about what comes next. Now, I don't think this fight is really about age, and I don't think it's really about size. I think it's about evolution. Every champion eventually reaches a moment where they have to answer one difficult question, and that's, can I still adapt? Dricus has to prove losing the belt didn't change who he is, and Usman has to prove that getting older hasn't changed who he is. That's why I love this matchup. It forces both men to answer questions that statistics can't. Heart, adaptability, belief. That's what championship fights have always been about. So my official prediction. So who am I picking? I'm taking Dricus by 4th round TKO. I know. It's hard, man. It's hard to go against Usman like that and to see him KO'd. I mean, that would be difficult. But I think Usman, he will have some early success, and I think his wrestling will create some problems. I think he will have winning moments, but over 25 minutes, the size, the pace, the pressure, and Dricus's ability to make fights uncomfortable, I think that's going to eventually take over. I think Dricus earns a late stoppage and reminds everyone why he's still one of the toughest matchups in the middleweight division. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear in the comments. Is Dricus Du Plessis simply too big and too unpredictable for Usman? Or does Usman still have one more championship run in him? Drop your predictions in the comment. I read them all. And the best one may make it on my next episode. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, hit the like button, subscribe to Knuckle Game Podcast, and share this episode with every MMA fan you know. This episode was brought to you by Juggernaut Snacks Knuckle Sandwich, the premium fight-inspired snack built for fight fans who appreciate bold flavor and championship quality. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, and remember, great champions aren't measured by how long they stay on top. They're measured by how they respond when the climb begins again. Until next time, I'm El Banger.